Hey, so it's a little windy out today, so I had to jump over into the Jeep here. But wanted to talk today about this thing called Friday night essence. So I've been talking a lot about figuring out your purpose, figuring out your essence, figuring out the thing that you were meant to do in life. And your Friday night essence is a way that you can do that. And sort of the idea here is if you look at top entrepreneurs, not just now, but throughout history, really. Take, for example, Henry Ford. The story is how he used to spend his free time in the garage, taking things apart and putting them back together. Steve Jobs and tinkering with computers and all of the different stories. When you read the biographies of all these really successful people, what you find out is that they would do things that most people would consider strange in their spare time, or most people would consider them work. They would do these in their spare time when they weren't doing what they were doing for their normal job or school or whatever. So they would spend time doing all of these weird things that most people would consider work. And that's really the idea behind your Friday night essence, because Friday nights are the night that's the furthest away. It's the time period that's furthest away from Monday morning. And Monday morning is when you have to go back to reality, back to your job. Maybe it's a job that you don't like, you hate, whatever. And so when you're the furthest away from having to go back to that, that's when you feel sort of the most free and the most excited. And so your mind tends to come out of its box and naturally gravitate towards the thing that you are most interested in. Now, for me, when I first kind of got into all of this, that was coding. I used to, throughout the week, I would be thinking about something that I wanted to build, some website or some application. I'd be thinking about it all week while I was at work. And then when it got to Friday night, I was usually up till, the wee hours of the morning working on whatever I had in my head to kind of get a start on it and get what was in my head out onto the computer, out into code or whatever. So I used to do that all the time. My wife actually used to get irritated with me about it, because I would spend my Friday nights, instead of us going out doing this or that, my mind was gravitating towards what I want, this strange thing that most people would consider work, but it didn't feel like that to me. And now for me, that's of course teaching. I've talked about that, how I have to be careful now when I go to bed at night. Like, I can't get too far down a path about thinking about something that I want to teach, because my mind will just go and go and go and go, and I'll never get to sleep. Or if I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to be really careful not to start thinking too much. Otherwise, my mind will just constantly go in that direction. So again, just to reiterate the point, if you haven't seen the other videos, that's the only way to maximize your potential, because your mind is already thinking about it. Your mind is already going there. And you may not even be getting paid to do it right now. Imagine what happens when you start getting paid to do that thing, when that thing becomes your job. Imagine how much on overdrive, how much more that's going to take over. And when that happens, the energy, the focus, the discipline, they're all natural. You don't have to have some 7-step system or some cute little exercise to get you motivated and deal with procrastination, or just be super disciplined and constantly yelling at yourself. It's all natural because your mind is already going there. And so again, one way of figuring that out is what's called your Friday night essence. So what you do is, just over the next couple weeks, pay attention to the things that you start thinking about and wanting to do naturally on Friday nights. If you know you're not doing the thing that you love right now, if you already are, then maybe this doesn't really apply to you. But if you're not, pay attention to those things. Now, certainly there's going to be leisure and entertainment and you just wanting to get away, etc. But you should find that there are things in there that you're doing, or that you want to do, or that you start thinking about, that if you take a step back and look at it, maybe not to you, but if you put yourself in someone else's shoes, they would look at it and go, that's kind of work, right? That they would view it as work. And that's an indicator, that's a clue into what your essence is. Okay, so just take some time to do that and figure that out. And then of course, once you have that, or if you already know what it is, like when I say it, you just know what it is, you already have it figured out, and you're trying to figure out, okay, now how do I tie this to something commercially viable? How do I make this my job? That's what I teach you in part 1 of my Freelance Feast course, because it really is the foundation of being uber successful as a freelancer, is just being able to be more productive than everybody else, right? If you're doing something that your mind naturally gravitates towards and you're competing, quote unquote, against other people who are the what they do for freelance isn't necessarily what they love to do, you're just naturally going to be more productive, more creative. You're naturally going to be more focused, give more effort. And so you're going to have a much better chance of success than those people are, because it's what you just naturally are dug into. Okay. And so that's really the foundational piece of all this. And it's really important to get that nailed down before you start getting into strategy and tactics and all the stuff that you're going to do to get clients and deliver on projects and all that stuff. You have to start with this solid foundation. So again, that's why it's part 1 of my Freelance Feast course. And what I do is I show you how to take this thing that you may think isn't practical, that you can't do for a job, and I show you different ways to think about it to figure out how to make it commercially viable, how to make it something you can do as your job. So if you're interested in that, I put the course over on Skillshare. Part 1 is up there now. I'll be adding part 2 and 3 here soon, but part 1 with all of this is up there now, available. And I put it on Skillshare to give everybody a chance, a crack at it, regardless of your financial situation. Because as a teacher there, I can offer you an exclusive 14-day trial of Skillshare. When you take that trial, you get unfettered access to all 30,000 plus courses on the site, including this course where I will show you this. It's lesson number 3 once you get inside the course. And what a lot of people do is they start the trial, take the course or the courses they want to take, and then they simply cancel before the 14 days is up, and you never pay a penny. Obviously, I hope that you'll love the course and the other courses you find on the site and will stay a member, but there's no obligation. You can cancel anytime. Like I said, if you cancel before the 14 days is up, you never pay a penny. So it's a pretty good deal for people to get access to the course regardless of your financial situation. Anyway, the link for that is myjohn.us/feast. Again, that's myjohn.us/feast. I'll also drop a link in the description as well. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you next time.